I fear this might be the fate of all future motorcycles. Low emissions, retro styling, dual purpose, and affordable. None of those sound bad in isolation, but altogether, they've got to make a boring bike, right? Well, I get to live with the Triumph Scrambler 400X for the next 5 days, or 127 hours to be exact, to uncover all of its quirks and features.
I've never understood the point of a scrambler, so I'm keen to try and figure it out and then see how it stacks up on my biased scoreboard. Thank you to Rebelhorn for keeping me protected and sponsoring this video. To my surprise, the Scrambler only dates back to 2006. I fully expected it to have been launched back in the 70s or centuries ago. Yet, 4 things have always remained constant. The Scrambler has never been smaller than an 865cc. It's had a high-mounted exhaust from day one. It's had wire-spoke wheels. And lastly, I have never understood the point of a Scrambler. But that all changed in 2023 when Triumph launched the Scrambler 400X to target a new market. And it had none of that. It starts at around $6,000 and is based on their new 398cc single-cylinder engine. In my opinion, the Scrambler's main quirks are due to its purpose and little engine. Nevertheless, let's go over the immediate quirks I noticed on my ride home from Triumph Johannesburg. The perfect destination if you're in the market for a new Triumph, used bike, workshop with the best mechanics, or even just some apparel and accessories.
Its engine might be little, but it is a full-sized bike in both the height and handlebar departments, so don't be shy if you're a full-sized adult. I am not a full-sized adult at just 5'7", and even I am just shy of flat-footing it, and it's really easy to move around because it's so light. It's got a slightly bigger 19-inch front wheel to give it some off-road credibility. That's bigger than its 17-inch rear wheel, but not quite as big as a serious adventure bike's 21-inch front wheel. But cast alloy wheels like this are sacrilege on a Scrambler, and they are more fragile off-road than wire spoke wheels. It's almost like Triumph want you to pay extra and buy the XC model to get those. These rubbers in the foot pegs simply pop out so that you can get good grip while standing and riding off-road, but still have less vibration when riding on the street. This left-hand mirror slowly drooped down like this while riding on the freeway, presumably from the buzzy engine. Quite a lot of vibrations. The right-hand one didn't, however. They're also kind of strange to adjust because you can see that the ball joint here is offset. The kickstand practically feels like it's underneath the bike, it's so far in, which makes it kind of difficult to get to. It has a vertical and digital rev counter, which is not for me. Personally, I'd prefer to swap the speedo and the rev counter around, so you'd have a digital speedo and an analog tach. The more aggressively you ride it, the clunkier the gearbox gets. It really doesn't want you to try and shift as fast as humanly possible or to clutchless shift really quickly. It wants you to take your time and enjoy the process. If it was a human, it would say something cliche like, life is about the journey, not the destination. I am one of those weird people who likes a bike's purpose to be very specific, not broad and ambiguous. It must be fast, or it must be good off-road, or it must be able to tour in comfort. But the Scrambler is one of those bikes that likes to do a little bit of everything, but know one thing very well. The downside of that attitude is that I often end up taking bikes too seriously, and forget that their main purpose is just to be fun. So I tried hard to take this bike at face value. It's 100% supposed to be fun, not perfect. After all, I have fond memories of my KTM 390 Duke. It made me a 400cc fan. At a glance, there's no mistaking this for anything other than a Triumph.
It has the usual polished cooling fins on the engine, and from the right-hand side, there's the signature exhaust mimicking their other models like a Speed Twin.
This rugged front mudguard really suits it. This LED headlight is a nice addition, protected by this cage to remind you that it's off-roady and rugged, along with some hand guards and even a bar pad. Deciding how to build a 400 is difficult. Think about it. You can slap on a TFT display, all the technology you can think of, and even big brands like Brembo's, but then it won't be priced like a typical 400. So Triumph obviously had to make some sacrifices, but it still does have the usual quality and touches you expect from them.
Hence why it also has these aluminium accents all over it. Elegant brown leather seats with stitching, old-timey round mirrors.
But I don't think this exhaust suits it.
Out on the road, it's everything you'd expect. It's light, nimble, and rides straight past every fuel station. I often say you don't need anything more than a 400, and the Scrambler proves it. It might only have 39.5 horsepower, and yes, that 0.5 is very important, but it's still faster than 80% of traffic, and can even do freeways 2 up.
It is more than able to do freeway riding. It's just not the safest feeling bike on the freeway, simply because it's very narrow between your legs, so it feels a bit insignificant and kind of vulnerable. It also doesn't have enough power to accelerate out of trouble at any speed you like.
I did expect it to be nippier than it is though. It makes its peak torque at just 6,000 RPM, so it encourages a bit of a lazy ride rather than hunting the red line and shifting as quickly as possible. But it's that time of year again where it's cold early in the morning but hot later on, so choosing what to wear is difficult.
So these ventilation panels have come in handy. You just unzip this, open the Velcro flap, and it reveals this breathable mesh fabric. So now to keep this up while you ride along, there's these little hooks. There's even a magnet to help locate it. Just like that.
And yes, there are pants with the same feature. And if that wasn't enough, there are normal ventilation zippers all over as well.
I've honestly never seen so much ventilation. But don't worry, it's equipped for all conditions.
Both the pants and jacket have a removable lining called a Hydra Shield to keep the wind and rain off you.
And it can go over the top of your gear as well if need be, so I guess it can be used with any gear then. Pretty versatile. Can you see me? Rebelhorn have some of the most innovative ideas I've ever seen when it comes to motorcycle gear.
This set is called the Borg 2 and comes in a variety of cool colors. Obviously, it's double A-level rated and has shoulder, elbow, back, knee and hip armor. They also make everything from gloves to racing leathers to base layers.
So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I will link them down below so you can see all the color options, the competitive pricing and just innovative gear. My pessimistic side says that scramblers are a silly idea. It has a bigger front wheel, longer travel suspension, and ambidextrous tires that make it worse on the street. Yet, not enough suspension travel, ground clearance, or aggressive knobbly tires to actually make it good off-road. That's why scramblers confuse me.
But in practice, it was a blast on suitable terrain. It gives you familiar hints of a dirt bike because it's nice and light and narrow between the legs while standing. And I suspect far more enjoyable on a dirt road than the heavier 900 or 1200 Scrambler. So I guess I owe it an apology. After all, Revzilla rode one over 1,000 miles through the Himalayas, and Triumph South Africa took them to ride the salt pans in Botswana for the launch. So my opinion is kind of irrelevant then.
The suspension isn't anything fancy.
The forks are a decent size at 43mm, but aren't adjustable. The shock does have adjustable preload, but that's it. They both offer 150mm of travel and are exactly what you'd expect.
Okay, now watch closely because this is pretty complicated. If you press this button, you can cycle to the mode screen. Now, if you press and hold this button and then release, you can enter off-road mode. So now the traction control and ABS won't irritate you when riding off-road. And that is the extent of the technology, not what you're used to seeing on a modern Triumph. No key fobs, TFTs or quick shifters. And yet,
You don't miss them. I really think that this is how new riders should learn. The brakes are my only real complaint. It has a single 4-piston bi-bree caliper on the front, just like you'd find on something like a 390 Duke. But it feels spongy and weak, even with lines that look like they're steel.
I'll be honest, I didn't have high hopes for taking my wife on the back of a 400, so we didn't end up going that far together. But either way, here's her feedback on the passenger amenities.
It was more spacious than she expected. It has a big, squishy seat and a comfortable foot peg location. The only issue was the weird grab handle, but I suspect it's better at manhandling the bike than it is for a passenger. As the rider, it was far more competent with 2 people on it than I expected, and we didn't headbutt each other even once, which is rare.
I knew I liked 400s all along, but the Scrambler side of things has now grown on me. It made me try something new, like navigating streets before sunrise just to play around on some dirt farm roads. And I think that is the essence of a Scrambler. It's a tool to explore, and that is the essence of motorcycling, just fun and freedom.
Nevertheless, 127 hours later, the Scrambler 400X is back with Triumph Johannesburg. So now let's give it a score out of 60 to see where it lands on a sport bike lover's scoreboard. And if you have a problem with the result, feel free to phone HR. Styling. Few bikes are as hipster as a Scrambler in an Instagram photo. But the 400 is missing the signature high exhaust and the wire spoke wheels. 6 out of 10. Practicality. No one needs anything bigger than a 400. We just want it. Plus, it's lightweight, fuel efficient, cheap to insure, and so on. 9 out of 10. Fun. It is a fun experience to have, but I would argue that speed is more fun, and something with more off-road prowess is more fun. 6 out of 10. Price. It seems to be pretty competitively priced in its segment, but it also seems to be pretty bare bones. 8 out of 10. Speed. Speed is not its thing. 3 out of 10. Sound. It sounds just like a slow revving single cylinder 400cc motorbike. Not very exciting. 4 out of 10.
Giving the Triumph Scrambler 400X 36 out of 60, which means it ties with both a 1200 GS and a Rocket 3. I would rather daily ride the Scrambler than a Rocket, but probably not over a GS.
But anyway, there is a whole playlist of these types of videos if you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you would have a Scrambler 400 in your collection, and I'll see you on the next ride.